Let me ask you something. What's the first thing you reach for in the morning? Your phone? The news. That to-do list that's already whispering stress into your soul. What if today you reached for God? See, I believe that how you start your day sets the trajectory for how you walk through it. Some of us have been waking up with worry. We've been waking up with anxiety, with dread, with the weight of yesterday still sitting on our chest. But I came to declare something over your life. You don't have to wake up with fear, wake up with faith. You don't have to wake up with pressure, wake up with peace. You don't have to wake up with weakness, wake up with the Word. Because when you wake up with God, you don't walk into the day wondering if you can make it. You walk in knowing that the same God who kept you yesterday is already waiting for you in today. Peace is not about a problem-free life. Peace is about knowing that the presence of God goes before you, walks with you, and surrounds you. So even when the storm comes, and it will come, you've got a foundation that doesn't shake. You want strength. It's not in the smoothie. It's not in the motivational quote. Your strength comes from surrender. You get low in prayer so you can rise in power. And hear me, the enemy doesn't wait till noon to mess with your mind. That's why you've got to meet God before your phone, before your inbox, get a word in. You've got to rise up and say, God, I don't know what today holds, but I know you hold me. I don't know what I'll face, but I know who I'll follow. Give me your peace, fill me with your strength, and bless this day, not because it's perfect, but because I walk in it with purpose. And don't forget this, you're not just waking up, you're rising up. You're not just opening your eyes, you're opening your spirit. You're not just starting a day, you're stepping into a divine assignment. Before the notifications start buzzing, before the world starts shouting for your attention, there's a still, small voice that's already speaking. The God who created time didn't just place you in this day to survive it, He placed you here to walk through it with Him. And if you don't meet Him first, you'll be tempted to meet fear, pressure, and problems first. Let me be real. The order of your day affects the outcome of your day. Starting your morning with God isn't just a routine, it's a revelation. It's you declaring, before I do anything, I'm aligning everything. The enemy loves to catch you off guard, but prayer positions you to be spiritually awake before life gets loud. You don't need a perfect day. You need a powerful presence. And when you start your day with God, you don't walk into chaos, you walk into calling. We often treat the presence of God like a fire extinguisher, something we grab when life starts burning. But what if you treated His presence like your morning oxygen? What if prayer wasn't your backup plan, but your starting point? You're not waiting until the pressure builds to talk to God. You're building peace before the pressure even comes. That's how Jesus lived. Mark 1:35 says, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to pray. He knew that if you don't fill your spirit, life will fill it for you with anxiety, noise, comparison, and exhaustion. But when you start your day in the presence, you don't react to life, you respond with faith. You set the spiritual temperature. You lead your soul. You tune your ears to heaven before the world tries to distract you. Here's the truth, chaos doesn't schedule an appointment. It shows up uninvited, but so does grace. Peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the presence of God in the middle of them. When you rise and meet God first, you're not ignoring reality, you're aligning it. You're reminding yourself that you are not your schedule, not your job title, not your past, and not your pressure. You are God's child. And that identity is what fuels your peace. The reason many of us feel spiritually exhausted before the day even begins isn't because life is too loud, it's because we haven't listened to the one voice that matters most. So wake up, not just physically, but spiritually. Turn your attention to the one who already knows what your day holds and has already made a war. There's a battle going on the moment you open your eyes. That's why victory begins before breakfast. You don't fight spiritual battles with natural weapons. You fight them with worship, with prayer, with surrender. You don't need to scroll for affirmation. You need to soak in God's word and let Him speak over you. What would shift in your life if you said, God gets my first words, not the world? That's not just discipline, that's devotion. It's a declaration that your joy isn't based on circumstances, but on Christ. And when you start your day in His presence, you step into peace, strength, and clarity that can't be shaken. Before the chaos calls, answer God's call. Before the world tries to define you, let God remind you who you are. Wake up with Him, and you won't just have a good day, you'll have a God day. Let's get this straight. Peace doesn't mean the storm stops. Peace means you know who's in the boat with you. Some of us have been praying for God to calm the wind, but what if He's trying to calm you? See, real peace doesn't wait for things to be perfect. Real peace is a person, and his name is Jesus. And when his presence fills your heart, the chaos on the outside doesn't get to rule what's happening on the inside. That's why peace is not found in the perfect situation. It's found in the right revelation. When you know God is with you, even in the pressure, you stop looking for escape routes and start standing on promises. The world offers temporary relief, but God offers eternal rest. And the way into that rest, it starts with prayer. Peace begins where panic ends in the presence of God. The problem is we've confused comfort with peace. But comfort is what you feel when things are easy. Peace is what you carry when things aren't. You can't always choose your situation, but you can choose your spirit. You can't always stop the storm, but you can choose who you anchor to. And that anchor is found in the secret place of prayer. Prayer doesn't always change the problem, but it always changes you. It centers you. It grounds you. It reminds you that no matter what you're walking through, you're not walking alone. Philippians 4:6-7 says, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. And the peace of God will guard your hearts and minds. That's not poetic. That's powerful. That's real. God's peace doesn't come after the answer. It comes during the asking. You've got to stop waiting for circumstances to get quiet to have peace. You bring peace into the noise. Why? Because the Spirit of God lives inside you. And when you connect with Him in prayer, you become the thermostat, not the thermometer. You stop reflecting your environment and start reshaping it. That's why the enemy fights your prayer life, because he knows that a praying believer is a peaceful believer. And peaceful believers are dangerous. They're not easily shaken. They don't crumble under pressure. They speak life in dry places. They walk through the valley with their head held high. Not because it's easy, but because they've been with God. The presence of God doesn't mean the absence of trouble. It means the assurance of triumph. And that peace doesn't come from understanding everything. It comes from trusting the one who does. Let me ask you, what's been stealing your peace lately? The diagnosis, the delay, the disappointment. Listen to me, don't wait for peace to find you. Go meet God in prayer and pick it up. Peace is your inheritance. It's your promise. It's already yours. You don't have to feel it to walk in it. You just need to pray until your soul remembers who's in control. Because peace is not passive, it's a weapon. It shuts the mouth of fear. It drowns the lies of the enemy. And it gives you the strength to walk into your day not shaken, but secure. So today, before the stress hits, before the news hits, before the pressure hits, hit your knees. That's where the peace is. In the presence. In the quiet. In the power of prayer. We live in a world obsessed with strength, muscles, hustle, status, stamina. But let me tell you something that will mess up that definition. God's greatest strength doesn't start in your arms. It starts to trakizan. You can lift all the weights, run all the miles, grind all day, and still gear empty. Because real strength isn't measured by performance. It's measured by dependence. That's why Paul said in 2 Corinthians 12:9, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. The strength you need for what you're carrying doesn't come from your effort. It comes from God's empowerment. His grace is your fuel. His grace is your endurance. And when you start to realize that strength is spiritual first, you stop trying to carry everything on your own. You stop flexing. And you start resting not in your ability, but in His. You ever notice how we try to power through everything? Like if we just push a little harder, stay up a little later, we can make it happen. But God's kingdom doesn't run on hustle. It runs on humility. He doesn't give strength to the proud. He gives it to the surrender. You don't get stronger by doing more. You get stronger by trusting deeper. See, grace isn't just what saves you. It's what sustains you. It picks you up when you're depleted. It fills you when you're dry. And the crazy thing, it shows up strongest when you feel weakest. You want to grow in strength. Start growing in surrender. Stop asking, how can I do this? And start praying, God, do this through me. That shift from pressure to grace is where the supernatural strength of God shows up in your everyday. Let me make this plain. Spiritual strength is daily bread, not a one-time protein shake. You can't survive today off of yesterday's grace. You need to wake up every morning and say, God, I need your strength for this moment, this meeting, this mountain. Because strength isn't stored, it's supplied. That's why Jesus taught us to pray, give us this day our daily bread. It's not just about food, it's about fuel. And the supply of grace God gives you is specific for the day you're stepping into. The reason we feel so drained sometimes isn't because we're not capable, but because we're not connected. Real strength isn't about pushing harder, it's about plugging in deeper. And when you're connected to grace, you don't just survive the weight, you grow under it. Like resistance in a gym, God will let you lift what builds you, but never without the strength to bear it. So stop waiting to feel strong before you show up. You walk in strength because you walk in grace. You parent in grace. You lead in grace. You show up to the job, the class, the marriage, not with perfection, but with power from a greater source. The world will applaud performance, but heaven responds to dependence, and God does not view this life in your own strength and your own life in your own strength. He called you to do it through Him. So when you wake up tomorrow and the weight feels heavy, don't go looking for motivation, go back to the throne of grace. That's where your strength is. That's where your help is. That's where your breakthrough begins, not in your effort, but in your access to the unlimited strength of God. You can have a perfectly organized schedule and still feel completely disorganized on the inside. Why? Because it's not about how you plan your time, it's about how you position your heart. Prayer isn't just a box you check before the day begins. It's not a ritual, it's a reality shift. Prayer is how you set the tone before life tries to set the tempo. You can't afford to just react to the day. You've got to command it. And the way you do that isn't by adding more tasks to your planner, it's by taking time to meet with God. One moment of surrender can do more for your soul than an hour of hustle. When you pray, you're not just talking to God, you're letting Him tune your spirit to the sound of heaven. So you're not walking into your day overwhelmed, but overfilled with purpose. We often think we need more time. If I just had an extra hour, if I could wake up earlier, if my schedule wasn't so full. But listen, you don't need more time, you need more surrender. Because if God doesn't go first, everything else falls out of order. Prayer isn't about making time, it's about making room. It's saying, God, I give you first access, first influence, first voice. That kind of surrender shifts everything. It changes how you handle pressure, how you treat people, how you walk through conflict. Because now you're not just going off what you feel, you're moving from what God spoke. And here's the truth, we all make time for what matters. If scrolling can get your first 15 minutes, why can't surrender? Because what you give your first to is what defines your day, and prayer puts God in first place. Prayer isn't about length, it's about leverage. Some of the most powerful prayers you can pray are the shortest ones. God, I need you today. God, lead me right now. God, I surrender this moment. You don't have to clock in for an hour to have a breakthrough, you just have to connect. It's not about praying harder, it's about trusting deeper. When prayer becomes more than a task and turns into a lifeline, your whole life shifts. You start walking into situations that used to rattle you, and now you've got peace, not panic. You start navigating relationships with more patience. You begin recognizing that your words have weight because they're backed by heaven. Prayer sets your internal rhythm before the external world even wakes up. It's your anchor in the chaos, your guide when you don't have answers, and your fuel when you're running on empty. So the question is, are you fitting God into your schedule, or are you letting Him set it? Are you rushing into your day or inviting Him to lead it? Stop trying to squeeze prayer into the margins of your life like it's optional. It's not a side dish, it's the source. You'll always be overwhelmed if your spirit is undernourished. You'll always feel behind if you're not surrendered. The secret to lasting peace isn't productivity, it's presence. Prayer isn't a delay to your day, it's the direction for it. So tomorrow morning, before you check the news, before you scroll the feed, before you jump into the to-do list, pause. Invite God in. Let Him set the tone. Because when God leads the way, you don't just make it through the day, you walk in power. Let me tell you something that will shift how you see your mornings. Waking up with God is warfare. You think you're just getting out of bed, brushing your teeth, pouring your coffee, but in the spirit, you're doing something far greater. You're drawing your sword before the enemy even speaks, because anxiety doesn't wait until noon to whisper in your ear. Doubt doesn't knock before barging in. Fear doesn't schedule its attack. That's why you don't wait to pray after the battle starts. You wake up already dressed for it. When you give God your first breath, your first thought, your first moment, you're not just starting your day, you're securing it. You're stepping into a fight with heaven on your side. Prayer is not passive. Worship is not optional. God's presence is not a luxury. It's a weapon. And how you wake up determines how you'll stand up. If you don't start your day with God, you'll start it with something else, and whatever starts you steers you. You'll start with worry. You'll start with pressure. You'll start with comparison. You'll open your phone before you open your heart, and now your spirit is reacting instead of ruling. But when you start with God, something shifts. You stop letting the world tell you who you are, and you let the Word remind you whose you are. You don't walk into the office with fear, you walk in with fire. You don't answer the voice of anxiety, you silence it with authority. Because you didn't wait to feel strong, you declared strength before the day even tried to take it from you. That's why waking up with God isn't for the religious, it's for the ready. Ready to rise, ready to resist, ready to remember that you are already more than a conqueror. This is how we fight our battles, not by running, but by returning to the secret place. Your bed is the battlefield. Your knees are the weapon. That moment before the noise hits, before the headlines start, before the phone calls come, that's when you claim victory. Don't underestimate how powerful it is to say, God, this day is yours. Lead me. Strengthen me. Use me. You're not asking for easy, you're asking for equipped. And equipped people don't break under pressure. They stand firm in faith. Jesus fought temptation in the wilderness with scripture, not strategy. He didn't just know God's word, he used it. And that's what waking up with God gives you, a weapon that's sharper than fear, stronger than doubt, and louder than anxiety. When you meet with God first, you don't need to be afraid of what the day holds because you know who holds you. So don't let your alarm clock be the only thing that wakes you up. Let your spirit rise too. Wake up with purpose, wake up with perspective, wake up with power. Don't let fear speak first. Don't let doubt dictate your steps. Meet with your Creator and let Him speak louder than main that. That's why worship is warfare. That's why prayer is preparation. That's why starting with God isn't just good, good's essential. You're not fighting for peace, you're fighting from peace. You're not begging for breakthrough, you're waking up in it. And when the enemy comes to steal your joy, to plant seeds of insecurity, to cloud your confidence, you'll already be armed, already alert, already anchored, because you didn't wait for the fight to pray, you prayed before the fight came. And that's how you win in the presence before the pressure. You didn't just wake up into another day, you woke up into a day God has already walked through. That thing you're stressed about, He's already been there. That meeting you're dreading, He's already ahead of you. That decision that's been keeping you up at night, He's already made a way. See, God doesn't check your schedule when you open your eyes. He wrote it before you were born. Psalm 139 says, every one of your days was ordained before one of them came to be. That means today is not random. Today is loaded with divine intention. So when your feet hit the floor, stop saying, here we go again. Start saying, God, what do you want to do through me today? You're not waking up to survive, you're waking up to walk in something sacred. Purpose is waiting, and God is already in it. We often wake up bracing for problems instead of leaning into purpose. And that mindset will rob your day of its meaning before it even begins. If all you see are the problems, you'll miss the fact that God placed you in this day on purpose for a purpose. You are not a random participant in your Monday. You are a divine appointment wrapped in skin. The enemy wants to keep you reactive, stuck in fear, focused on what could go wrong. But God wants to make you responsive, anchored in faith, alert to what He's already set in motion. You're not chasing purpose. You're waking up in it. You don't have to find your purpose today. You have to follow the one who already prepared it. And when you wake up knowing God has already gone before you, you stop asking, why me? And start declaring, why not me? Let's be honest, some days feel like you're waking up to battle, not blessing. But don't confuse tension with the absence of God. Sometimes the pressure you feel is because there's purpose on the line. You think you're waking up to fight problems, but what if you're actually waking up to win territory? What if the resistance is proof that the enemy sees what God's about to release in your life? Don't let the problem distract you from the plan. God doesn't just show up once things are fixed. He's right there in the middle, working through every moment. When you pray in the morning, when you commit the day to Him, you're not inviting God and dividing. Your mess, you're aligning yourself with His movement because He's already moving, already working, already speaking. And when you see that, you don't dread the day you dominate it. So before your to-do list overwhelms you, take a breath. God is already in your today. He's not trying to catch up to your stress. He's inviting you to catch up to His peace. You're not starting the day alone. You're starting it with the author of it. And when God writes your story, He doesn't just give you strength for the moment, He gives you meaning in it. Purpose doesn't always look like a big stage or a loud miracle. Sometimes it looks like being faithful in the quiet, showing up with love, choosing joy on purpose, walking with integrity. These small acts carry eternal weight when God's in them. So today, don't just get through it, step into it. Declare it. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and walk in the purpose He's already prepared. Your purpose is not pending, it's present. And God is already there. We want blessings without battles, but God often hides the blessing inside the battle. It's not in the easy seasons that you grow, it's in the resistance, that closed door, that unanswered prayer, that tough conversation. It's not the enemy taking ground, it's God building strength. You don't get stronger by walking through smooth places, you get stronger by walking through pressure with purpose. That's what James meant when he said, consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. God isn't punishing you, He's preparing you. The very thing you're praying to get out of might be the exact thing God is using to get something out inside you. Don't resist the resistance. Embrace it. Because where there's pressure, there's potential, and your breakthrough doesn't come after the battle, it comes through it. Some of us are waiting for the blessing to come after things calm down, but can I shift your perspective? The blessing is in the middle of the chaos. The miracle doesn't wait for perfect conditions, it happens right in the mess. David didn't become a giant slayer on the throne, he became one in the field in the shadow of Goliath. It was the fight that proved what was already in him. And maybe that's what your battle is doing right now. It's not sent to destroy you, it's sent to develop you. That hard place, it's working something in you. That season of silence, it's building your roots deeper. What looks like delay might be divine design. God is toughening your skin, stretching your faith, and preparing you to carry what you prayed for. Because if it's going to be a big blessing, it's going to take bold resilience to carry it. Don't let resistance make you retreat, let it make you rise. What if that opposition is actually confirmation that you're on the right track? See, the enemy doesn't waste time attacking people who aren't a threat. If you feel resistance, maybe it's because you're getting closer to something God promised. Maybe the pressure is just the enemy's panic because he sees your progress. And God in His sovereignty is using it all. He's not just getting you through the battle, He's getting the battle through you. He's rewriting your identity, not just changing your scenery. He's making you resilient, not so you can just survive, but so you can stand strong when others would fold. So stop seeing the struggle as a sign of failure. Start seeing it as a signal. God is doing something in me that's worth fighting for. Here's the truth. You don't come out of battles the same. You come out wiser, stronger, sharper, more anointed. The blessing isn't just what you gain, it's who you become. You're not just collecting victories, you're collecting revelation. And what you learn in this fight will serve you in the next one. That's why the enemy is nervous, because the very thing he thought would break you is the fight. So today, don't just ask God to take the battle away. Ask Him to show you the blessing in it. Ask Him to give you eyes to see what's being forged in the fire. Because this isn't just about what's happening around you. It's about what's happening within you. And when you come out of this, you'll be carrying something you couldn't have received without it. The blessing is in the battle. And your resilience is your testimony. The enemy doesn't wait for you to get dressed before he starts talking. He doesn't wait until you've had your coffee or settled into your day. He starts whispering before your feet hit the foyer. That's why you can't afford to be passive with your mornings. You've got to wake up on purpose. Before the enemy plants fear, you've got to plant faith. Before he speaks lies, you've got to let God speak truth. Because whoever speaks first has the upper hand. If you let the enemy be the first voice in your head, he'll shape your mood, your mindset, and your momentum. But if you meet with God earlier before the emails, the chaos, the kids, the questions, you're not reacting, you're ruling. You're not waking up to fight for peace, you're waking up to walk in it. The battle begins early, so meet God before the fight even starts. Jesus modeled this rhythm. Mark 1:35 says, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Catch that, before it was light out, Jesus was already meeting with the Father. Why? Because even he knew if you don't set your direction in the secret place, the world will set it for you. We try to fit God, and after everything else has drained us, but what if the reason we're so tired, anxious, and reactive is because we're showing up to the fight unarmed? The enemy is strategic. He attacks early. He knows momentum matters. That's why your morning matters. Don't just scroll, snooze, or stress. Seek. Start the day in God's presence, and the enemy loses his access to your attitude, your attention, and your assignment. This isn't about legalism. It's not about having a perfect quiet time with background worship music and a steaming mug of coffee. It's about putting your spirit in position before your soul gets pulled in every direction. See, early doesn't just mean time, it means priority. God doesn't need your clock, He wants your commitment. It could be 5 minutes or 50. It's not about the length, it's about the leverage. Because when you give God your first, He blesses the rest. And the reason the enemy wants your morning so badly is because he knows what happens when you start the day filled with the Word, aligned with heaven, and tuned into truth. You walk differently. You speak with clarity. You fight with faith. You don't just get through the day, you take ground in it. So tomorrow morning, make a decision. Don't let the enemy beat you out of bed. Don't give him your first thoughts, your first scroll, or your first prompts. Give those to God. Worship before you worry. Pray before you post. Dare a truth before doubt shows up. When you meet God early, you get ahead of the fight. You step into the day anchored, not anxious. You carry peace that doesn't make sense and strength that doesn't run out. The day hasn't even started, but you've already won because you met the one who holds the day in His hands. You don't win the day in the middle of it, you win it before it begins. And when you do, the enemy loses his advantage. So set your alarm, set your heart, and watch God set the tone for a day that's already covered, claimed, and victorious. You don't have to stumble into your day hoping for peace. You can step into it with power. Every morning is a chance to realign, refocus, and reclaim what the enemy tries to steal before sunrise. You're not waking up to problems, you're waking up to purpose. And when you meet with God early, you're not just preparing for the day, you're prophesying over it. You're saying, no weapon formed against me will prosper because I already gave this day to the one who holds it all. So tomorrow morning, don't just reach for your phone, reach for your faith. Open your heart before your inbox. Fight your battles in prayer before they show up in your schedule. Win the day before it starts. Because when you wake up with God, you wake up with grace, strength, peace, and the boldness to live blessed and unshaken.